Hey friends, I'm Tony.
And I'm Tyson.
And welcome to Two Dudes That Don't Drink, the podcast where we explore the day-to-day struggles and stressors that come with this thing we call life.
We will be aiming to offer our listeners practical tips and advice for navigating today without drugs or alcohol.
Each week, we'll be joined by experts and ordinary people who are making it through their daily grind without a drink in hand.
If you're looking for a supportive community of like-minded individuals eager to learn and grow together, then saddle up and get ready for a ride with
Two Dudes That Don't Drink. Hey everybody, welcome back to Two Dudes That Don't Drink. It's been a while. Do we call it a while?
It's been a little while.
It's good to be back. Good to be back in front of the lights, in front of the microphone. We got a real good one for you. Should we say a neon one for you? I don't even. It's pretty lame.
Let's not.
All right. Tyson, good to see you again.
Yeah, you
We've
too.
seen each other a couple
bud.
times. We text and stuff.
Text and talk more than people
People
know.
But our guest tonight is the one and only
Elton John.
Elton.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, just kidding.
Son of a.
I just did that because he totally.
Yeah. So Garrett Steinberg, everybody. Garrett Steinberg. Garrett, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I know that this has been a long time in the works. Obviously, everybody's got busy schedules and it's just tough.
He was gonna do it because you have afternoons. You're pretty available in the afternoons.
Flexible in the afternoon.
Yeah, he was like, well, if I need to go on with Garrett alone, like we can do that. And I'm like, no. This is a package deal. So
This worked out perfect.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. So again, thank you very much for your time. I know that this is a commitment. But at the same time, I think we all think the same thing, that it's important for us to share our stories out there. And I know that you're not one that's quiet, probably just in general, but for sure you're not quiet. You're not quiet about your sobriety, which is something that we like to do and something we like to use. We like to use this platform to be able to share people's story. And so
share.
That's where we're at.
Yeah. So back to why he said Elton John. We were texting today, and I'm like, he's like, hey, we need to get into this. And I'm like, no, I'm going straight to he's Elton John. We're going right into his band, whatever. But no, we want to start with the who, what, where, when, why, how. Who is Garrett Steinberg?
Yeah.
Well, I'm 33 years old. I live in Eagle Lake, Minnesota, which is a beautiful town. Tony, you live there too.
I sure do.
I'm trying.
And Tyson, you're trying. And as of Monday night, I am the temporary mayor for 3.5 months.
Really?
I actually am. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I just made a Facebook post about it this evening. Just, people in the Eagle Lake community group, are always talking, and, if there's something I can do to help out, whatever, to let people know that that's what is the thing now. I'm the temporary mayor,
That's
pro
awesome.
tem.
Awesome.
Just throw down a bunch of, what are those, executive orders? Like, just hammer them down.
I wonder if I can do that.
I don't know if you can.
I don't know. I'd have to ask. But yeah, so that's the newest thing, but growing up in Eagle Lake, went to Mankato East, went to MSU for my undergraduate.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh yeah.
That's a 90s game thing going there. Yeah.
So I was in elementary school then.
Sure.
In the 90s.
God, don't remind us.
Sorry. So I went to MSU for my undergraduate in piano and got my master's degree in piano. Shortly after my undergraduate, I was a piano bar entertainer on a cruise ship. So we'll have stories from that.
Awesome.
For the drinking part of the show.
For sure.
And I was a church music director at Christ the King for 12 years, and I still play there occasionally on Sunday mornings, and then as a sub. And I also am a music director at the Catholic Church on campus, the Newman Center.
Oh, nice.
kind of I guess, yeah, music director. I play for 2 masses on Sunday and then a mass on Thursday night. And I have a cleaning business called G Clean, and then a hobby business that, well, it was a hobby that turned into a business.
Yes.
With Mankato Woodworks. So I'm busy with lots of passions that I like, and then I have an Elton John tribute show and an ABBA tribute show, and then Neon Live, which is that.
Yep.
And that's how we met.
Yes,
Tyson.
absolutely. Yep.
And and I'm trying to think. I have a wonderful wife, Anastasia, and then a daughter, Cece, and then a dog and a cat.
Very, very full household.
Yeah, it is.
So, do you know how to play the piano?
A little bit. A little bit. Yeah. I still practice every day.
Really?
Yeah.
So a master's in piano, what does a master's in piano, like, what does that look like? Like, what do you,
it basically means you take your OCD component of your brain and sit in a practice room for 3 hours a day or more.
Sure.
And study classical music. And then do memorized recitals and all that kind of stuff, and piano technique. I mean, just it's very detailed stuff.
Sure.
I think, I'll still have a dream about having to have my music memorized for something, and I show up to my piano teacher and it's not done, and he's like, well, we're going to have to probably look at changing some stuff for your recital. Kind of like those dreams. I don't know if you have those dreams where you're like, I have a hard math test in school tomorrow, but I can't remember anything of this math assignment that I have to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, a master's in piano it's classical piano, and it's very heavy on technique. It's, playing Beethoven, Chopin, Bach. There's a lot of creativity to it, but it's also very straightforward in what it is.
Who's your favorite classical composer?
I would probably have to say, I really would probably have to say Beethoven.
Okay. My parents, so I lived in a piano household. So to say that I took piano lessons for a while and then realized probably like much later in life that I was learning incorrectly. I didn't learn how to read sheet music, so I was always trying to emulate everything that I saw my piano teacher do, and then by ear. And so I was really good at like just playing and not reading sheet music, but then like when I would try to do recitals and I was supposed to be reading sheet music, it was a train wreck. Very, very, very bad on the piano recital area.
That happens.
Yeah. So I love my parents, like I said, or I don't know if I said, but they were Chopin. We were a Chopin family. I guess I don't know. Is that a thing?
What the hell is that?
I would say that is a thing.
Like families,
he's a
classical composer. So just different composers that you listen. I mean, we listened to some Beethoven. We listened to some Bach and some stuff like that. But
and when you asked that question about what my favorite classical composer would be, it was hard for me to not say Chopin.
Sure.
So if I was going to say, I would say Chopin, Debussy, Bach, Beethoven, Rachmaninoff are my favorites.
Sure.
And then there's an Argentinian composer that I also really like, Ginastero.
Okay.
Which is more atonal, kind of a little bit more modern piano music, and I had a lot of fun with that. It was Spanish too, so I know that this is not what the podcast is about.
No, but
no, this is. I'm fine. I can do this. What the fuck? Like, I can
just imagine Tony going, "Who? What?"
Well, I mean, I know obviously all the big names that you're talking about.
Beethoven, Bach.
We were. I was forced to play the piano growing up.
You were?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
we all were.
When you were in band, you had to pick and I picked percussion, so I had to play the piano to learn the bells or the xylophone or whatever.
Well, hold on. Let's go back. Don't people get stuck playing percussion?
No, I chose it because I was look, I wasn't interested in the xylophone. I was going caveman. I just want to beat on that drum.
Bang on the drums.
Yeah, bang on the drums.
Sure.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to do. So
okay, that makes
like
sense.
if I'm gonna be in band, I'm gonna hit this drum. Like that's the thing. And then when it came like 10th grade, I think you could choose if you wanted to do band, and I was like, see ya.
Now that we've exhausted all of our well, not
there's a lot more music talk
all
here.
of our instrument playing.
Oh yeah. Like I'm not. I do very much enjoy music. Music's a massive part of my life. Wish I totally could have played more instruments. I think it's absolutely amazing. But dude, I can barely read a book. So me reading the sheet music, it was like, again, like tat, 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 let me hit that cymbal. And, you know, I can tap my foot and stuff.
Do you play any other instruments besides the piano?
I play the organ.
Sure.
That's really hard though.
It's similar to the piano, you know. Well, it's different, but yeah. I mean, I remember one of my music professors at MSU just said the organ is a 17th century synthesizer. So, you know, I mean, computers, it's basically the same thing. But yeah, piano, organ, I played trombone and band, but I haven't done that for a long time.
And so when you're with your bands, you're not playing a guitar while you're singing. No. You're just singing.
I'm playing keyboards.
Oh, you're playing keyboard.
I'm playing keyboards,
but
piano and
you hit the Elton John songs though, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're the Elton John guy.
I'm the Elton John.
We went right to the Elton John,
which is good. That's great.
We were going to get there eventually.
Yeah, we were going to get there anyways. So, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit. I mean, before we go full-fledged
yeah.
Since you brought up the organ, I wanted to ask what your favorite stops were on an organ.
Seriously?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's
a great question.
He went full research.
No, so actually I know that because I used to go to Emmanuel Lutheran down on 2nd, and they have a they have a big.
Do they have a pipe organ or an electronic?
I think it is pipe. I think that they were a really big pipe organ. Anyways, we had this whole like music festival thing that we did where it was 3 days where kids came from other Lutheran schools from the upper Midwest and came to learn all about music, and it was like a music camp. Anyways,
one up in. I went to church at St. Peter and Paul's, straight Catholic.
They have an organ there too.
They got a pipe organ there.
Theirs is real.
Real.
Yeah, okay.
100%.
100%. Yeah. It's like super old too, isn't it?
No, it's actually, I think it was built in the late 70s, and it emulates an old organ in the sense that everything's mechanical. And I'm not speaking on behalf of the music director at St. Peter and Paul's, Grace Kunkel, who's a wonderful organist and a friend of mine. But yeah, the organ there it's all mechanical action. So if you pull a stop out on that organ and you press the note down, there's a physical component in the organ that actually moves something on the instrument, and then the sound is made. Whereas like the organ at Christ the King where I play at, it's an electronic thing. So there's a cord like that comes off of the organ console that goes to the organ, and then you press this. It is like a digital synthesizer in the sense that you can pull your stops and it goes to it runs to the pipes. But to answer the question about my favorite stop, it's not at Christ the King. I don't think they have it at St. Peter and Paul's. I don't know. They have one in Mankato at Grace Lutheran Church. It's a horizontal reed. It's the pipes that stick straight out that are trumpets. I think those are cool. They're loud, and they'll blow the roof off. But I think they're really cool.
You ever give the churchgoers just a little shot of some horizontal reed every once in a while? Like, wake up!
We don't have one at Christ the King, but I do play the trumpets on the organ that, they are loud, and I don't do it that often, but
just like to let everybody know who's in control a little bit.
Once in a while,
right,
yeah. Easter, Christmas.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you got a
or
crowd.
sometimes you accidentally hit it and you're like, whoa! I've done that before for church. I'm like, oops, wrong button.
That's the same thing that I would do when I was DJing, is you cue up the wrong song or accidentally hit stop.
Kill the dance floor.
Yep, I actually earned the nickname DJ Dead Air. Shout out Dan Barnett that's listening. Dan will know that story. I used to the bar would
never kill the dance floor, Tyson.
Well,
that's the worst thing to do.
Tyson would be so drunk sometimes that at 1:15 I would see 2:15, and I would think that I was 15 minutes past turning off the music. So hard stop on the music and go out to the patio, start smoking my cigarettes, and the bartenders and everybody's just looking at me like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm just like,
it's not bar close yet.
No,
maybe I was out there with you smoking. I don't know.
I legitimately shut it off and then realized that it was only 1:15, went back up for 2 more songs. Then it was 2:30 and I was like, oh man, I'm like way past, went back outside, started smoking cigarettes again. Yep. So I've been there for that.
Yeah.
But okay. So since we covered the organ stuff, I just wanted to know a little bit about, and share as much as you'd like, your kind of household that you grew up in. I'm assuming a pretty strong church faith background.
Yeah, I would say your normal, household situation. 3 younger sisters, church on Sunday, school activities, sports.
Sure.
My mom made me play football and I didn't want to do it, but I liked it anyways. Sure. For the those kind of things. My mom made me play piano lessons, but I like that too. So, just your, normal situation.
Upper Midwestern.
Yeah.
Typical, pretty fit, stereotypical family
Correct.
home.
Yep.
And the only reason that I bring that up is I think that there's a lot of people's stories that generate from different backgrounds, So, I mean, alcoholism, the disease that we all suffer from, it doesn't pick and choose. It doesn't say, ooh, I'm going to leave, the successful people alone, or I'm going to leave the minorities, or I'm going to leave this group or that group or whoever it may be. It'll come for everybody. Right. And so that's one thing that
I think it hides well in a middle-class neighborhood. I mean, that I think it hides extremely well there, and then that's where the reality, where people will say that it doesn't exist.
Sure.
So I mean like
the term functioning alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
it doesn't matter what word you put in front of it.
Like most alcoholics, none of us thought we were alcoholics, right? No,
absolutely.
Because we just like to party, right? We just like
a buzz.
Yeah. We just like to drink when we were watching live music, right?
Yep.
Or just hanging out downtown having a burger at a bar. It's like, why don't we have one or 2 or 9?
1,000 nautical miles out
exactly.
Yeah. If you can talk to us a little bit about what you remember of kind of your first, using sort of experience.
So there's 2. The first really times of dealing with alcohol was just kind of like, I never had a buzz, so it's like, oh, we're going to have to drink, this is going to be, and I was just like, this is really stupid. This does nothing for me. Maybe I had a full stomach. I don't know.
Sure.
But it's like, I really don't. People that drink are really stupid. This is really dumb. So that, I didn't drink legally until I was 21.
Oh.
So, I didn't care to drink. I was focused on piano. I was focused on school. I was focused on, that kind of stuff. But then I did drink after my junior recital, a month or so after my junior recital, somewhere in April of 2012. And it was at the Savoy downtown. And I remember listening to a band there, so I had like maybe 2 beers and I'm like, whoa, this starts to feel really good. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? And then I go on Facebook and like post these belligerent Facebook statuses, and I'm like, someone comments on it, whoa, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I had too much to drink.
From your 2 beers.
Yeah, from my 2 beers. But then I just, I was like, okay, another beer. And then, I probably had 6 or 8 beers that night, So it was basically like at that moment, this is awesome.
Sure.
.com.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so then everything else after that, since I was 21, could be music and drinking, or this and drinking, or that. And, it just is a perfect combination.
Music and drinking go pretty hand in hand together. I think that's why music festivals these days are kind of one of the new places for people, young people that are consumers and willing to spend money. That's where a lot of those marketing dollars go these days, is all the festivals, because music and alcohol is fun.
Mm-hmm.
So did you like watch people? Did you watch people like drink growing up, like in high school? Like, did you go to any of the high school parties or anything? Was that a thing?
I went to the senior keg and I just hung out. I mean, I was the class clown. I didn't drink. It didn't, it was just not a part of my thinking, so.
Yeah.
So at that rate, I didn't go to parties. I was doing enough stupid stuff without drinking.
Sure.
Mm.
Yeah, there was plenty of stuff with school. So I didn't drink in high school, and I didn't really care to, So, but no, I knew people around me would drink, like neighbors would drink, and my dad would drink beer on the weekends and things like that.
Sure.
So, I mean, it wasn't that I was not around it, and I also knew that there was alcoholism on both sides of my family too. So that's why I didn't drink.
Okay.
So I had it on my dad's side and I have it on my mom's side. So I ultimately sort of saw back then I saw to it that the people that drank were stupid, like really stupid, and, which I actually think is the case for me now again, because there was a time that I thought that people that drink were really awesome.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I knew enough of it, and I played enough music in the bar too prior to being a drinker that I saw that, drunk people have fun when music is playing. So maybe I should play more music in bars because they have fun. And it's fun to have fun watching people have fun.
Yes. I agree with that.
I'm gonna poke a little bit. Let me fluff this a little bit. So there was kids in our high school that didn't drink through high school. They get to college, I think they turn 21, they start drinking, and it's absolute rage mode. Like they are full-fledged, like every day of the week, hammering them down, college experience, full bore. Whereas some of us that did drink in high school kind of knew how to party and were more, I guess, seasoned drinkers at that point. Were you full-fledged the minute it touched your lips? It was Frank the Tank, we're going to the Commons, we're streaking tonight type of thing? Or did you have it kind of dialed in?
It took me a minute to have it dialed in. I thought I could, me and my girlfriend went out for her birthday 21st birthday in 2012. And I thought I could drive home. And that's when Madison Avenue was under construction and there was cones everywhere. And so this would have been 2 months after my first drinking experience at Savoy. Let's just say formative drinking experience. Yeah. And so luckily her sister's boyfriend said, no, you can't drive. And I didn't drive, but ultimately, yeah, I would say that after I fell into learned that drinking is awesome, or this is what it does to me, then everything had drinking with it. I didn't drink every night of the week because I actually lived at home when I was in my undergraduate. And so but I would drink maybe 4 nights of the week until 1 a.m. or 4, or, it didn't really matter. I mean, so that I look back at it now and I mean, it progressed really fast to all of a sudden, like 2 years after, 18 months after that first, formative drinking experience, I already had a DWI, so. I mean, that's pretty quick, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
so then, you know, and as we'll get to more of those fun experiences.
Yeah. And I don't mean to laugh, you know,
No, it is funny.
it's comical now because we can look back on it and, you know, understand how dumb we were, right?
Yeah.
All of us to do things like that. And, you know, I got my first underage while driving, which is not a DWI. Stays on your record like a DWI. Found that out the hard way. But, you know, right in that same age range, right? And so, like I said, I can look back on it and look back on that experience and just know, like, wow, what a absolutely boneheaded move that was. And something that I think people that have healthy relationships with alcohol, that they realize that, and that's a red flag where maybe like they start toning down on drinking, where for me, it just meant, well, now I got to make an excuse for it, at least for a little bit. You know, it's like, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to wait, you know, until it's Tony's birthday, then I'll go out to drink. Or if it's, you know, Flag Day, or, you know, then it starts
Tuesday.
Yeah. Then it starts to get, well, it's happy hour. And now it's like, well, I was golfing. And then all of a sudden I'm not making up reasons anymore. And then, you know, I get in trouble again. So it's understandable how we all, you know, kind of get there.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony was one of those lucky people that thankfully he didn't, I mean, thankfully, or however you want to apply that, but didn't get in trouble drinking. So he never had that like realization.
Hold on a second.
I mean, you didn't have any.
In the end, I got in trouble for it.
DWIs.
I didn't have any DWIs. I didn't have any alcohol related things. So it goes back to what you said about it hides very well in the middle class or the
suburban
neighborhood thing. Yeah. Like it was functioning alcoholic. Like it was
by the bonfire.
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
And you fall in and burn yourself.
Yeah. True story?
No.
Oh.
I know people that probably have.
We know people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But for me, it was just I don't think it was Tuesdays were never a thing for me, but pretty much Wednesday through Monday, it was a go. Cause it was like Monday Night Football. So you got to drink.
Gotta have a couple
watching
beers.
football.
Yeah.
That's a good rotation though. I mean, start on Wednesday and go till Sunday, or, you know, take a couple days off a week, then you're not alcoholic.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you don't go to the bars. So
well, and it was always don't let it affect your job. You know, don't, if you're going to come in hungover, like you better hide it real good, real good. And
work through it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And by the end there, I couldn't hide it all that well. Even to the point where it was like Friday night, tried to go golfing on Saturday morning and was puking every other hole and was like, all right, I gotta get out of here. And then 4 hours later, you're hammered again. So
what kind of hangovers did you get?
Terrible.
Yeah. Were you like light sensitive and sound sensitive and
all of the above?
So how did that work out with playing music hungover?
You know, it was hard. It was hard too. Yeah, you know, and sadly, you know, sometimes it was playing at church, you know, and that's not fun, you know, and it's, you know, you try not to party the night before, but then you accidentally do. I hate to say it like that, but you know, it's like your mind, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I will say,
I'm not gonna go party tonight, you know, but
for me, the absolute worst time that I could be having with a hangover was being in a church. Like churches are just always hot and too many people and stuffy. And I typically never wanted to be there, and I'm sweating and it's like, get me out of here.
I need ice water.
Yes. Yeah. You can't just like, I guess you probably could have
run some of that holy water into these veins, baby. Let's go.
But I mean, like, just that was the worst hangover. Like, I could work, I could do that. I would have been fine, you know, just sweating everything out over a hot grill or a hot stove. But yeah, don't put me in a church. Like if we had to be, I can remember a time where I had to go to a friend's kids like Christmas show in a church an hour away, hungover, waiting for fantasy football scores. It was just a really, really bad mix. And I guess
but bro, there's other people in the church struggling it out with you.
Actually,
then there's other people.
I've heard that from meetings, people I'm at church, and this and that, So yeah, I mean, I think that, a lot of it was even getting up to work was just sometimes daunting, with drinking and stuff the night before. And so it didn't really matter what the place was. It just was.
So let's talk. You mentioned that you worked on a ship. So one thing that I do know about cruise ships for the most part is that when crew members aren't working, that it's kind of party time. Is that true?
I would say that's true.
Yeah. Okay. That stereotype does exist for a reason.
I would say that's 100% accurate.
Because what are you supposed to do?
Nothing.
Yes. I had to do that.
There's nothing else to do.
Yeah, I was in the Navy for 4 years. So I was on a small ship. But yeah, no, we didn't get to drink when you're on board the ship.
That sucks.
Yeah. But we were my ships could only last 2 weeks out to sea. And then we had to either get resupplied or go back into port. And most of the time we went back into port because the thing was fucking broken. So we had to get it fixed anyways.
Had to ship repairs. So that was a perfect time to go to the bar. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Funny, for 2 years in a row, my captain just happened to want to do some naval training at a support station in Panama City Beach, Florida. Funny, it happened to be around March. It was the same week as spring break. So,
spring break.
Oh my God, it was a blast.
PCB.
Oh, it was a blast. Yeah. Oh, big time. But so cruises, how big was the ship?
I think it was 3,000 passengers.
Sheesh.
3,500 maybe, 1,000 crew. So it was big. It was pretty big. And I was the piano bar entertainer, so I was guest entertainer, so I could go to the guest areas and all that kind of stuff. And I would go drink with people in the Bahamas and all that kind. It was entertaining, I entertained myself with it. But when you're not doing the entertainment, which is 18 hours of the day, it's very boring.
I bet.
So I would get done at 1 a.m, and there was this wonderful bartender I met. His name was Doherty, and he was from China. And I gave him a $20 bill, and I said, every single time you see me walk into this bar, I want 2 Budweisers. And so every single time I walked in, they were they were the huge Budweisers. So I said, every single time you see me, get me 2 King of beers. Because that's what they have. I just like, so every single time, 2 King of beers.
Nice.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
And I went to the cruise ship actually with the intention of not really drinking and partying. And I said to a guy from Great Britain who was probably 65 or something, I said to him, he was the drummer in the jazz band on the cruise ship. I said, yeah, I'm not going to really drink that much. He said, well, you know what the cruise ship's all about, right? And he said, SPED. And I'm like, SPED, special ed, or what? I'm trying to put the acronyms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep, play, eat, drink. And so, I mean, he lived that too. And I saw him drinking, 3 p.m. till when we would leave the back deck at 4 a.m.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was a lot of drinking. And I actually cut my contract short. It was supposed to be a 4-month contract. And I kept trying to whittle it down just because I knew like, this is not the right place for me.
Sure.
Like when you wake up with a hangover, or I get called at 8 a.m. because I'm supposed to be at training, like all that kind of stuff. I'm like, this is not, I need to get the hell off of this piece of scrap metal.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not good.
Yeah.
So it was a 4-month contract, but you're there for 3 months?
It was a 4-month contract. I whittled it down to 2.5 months, and I got the hell off in 1.
So you were only on the cruise ship
I was only on the
month.
cruise ship for a month, but it was 9 cruises. So it was 3 day, 4 day, 3 day, 4 day, 3 day, 4 day. Wow. And so I'll never go back to a cruise ship again, ever, period. Unless I'm drinking again.
So never.
No, I don't want to go to a cruise ship. Well, I shouldn't say that, because they do have sober cruises, but the only way that I knew cruises was drinking.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we went on a cruise. I was on a cruise with my family.
Sober? You were sober?
Not. Nope. Oh. Not a chance. I actually had, I didn't know this, but I shared a room with my sister, and I didn't know that when you were telling the people that what your room number was, I thought it was like all inclusive. And I had the night before we were pulling into port.
I already know what this is.
Yeah. I had a $500 bar bill.
Did you?
And they slid it underneath the door, and I'm like, I looked at my sister and I'm like, is this you? And she's like, no, dumbass, that's you. And I'm like, holy shit. I went down to the casino, played Caribbean poker for the first time in my life, won $700 and paid that bar tab.
That's a great story.
Yes.
Because that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, they said to all the people that were on because there were some frequent flyers that would come on the cruise ship that vacationed on the ship, but lived in, Georgia or Florida or whatever, and they said, well, yeah, I mean, if you drink more than 8 a day, you should just get the ultimate drink package. It didn't apply to me because I already had crew, crew drinks, but so basically you should have got the ultimate drink package.
And
because it would have paid for itself.
Yeah. And I didn't pay for the cruise. It was a family deal, and I didn't even know that was an option. And yeah, I definitely should have gotten that ultimate drink package or whatever.
How old were you?
I was definitely 21.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure I was 21. It was just before I met Jessica, because I wanted her to go on the cruise with us.
Oh, we went on a cruise, me and my family, and my one drinking cruise claim to fame was I was 14, 15 years old. But I still was like this tall when I was 14, 15. So I walked into I would sleep all day, and my parents would be out doing whatever. And then they would come back to the room and I would leave, and I would just basically walk around the ship till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, I ended up walking into wherever they had comedy for the night, and I sat in the way, way back, and, a cocktail waitress came up to me and said, "You want something to drink?" And I was like, beer. I remember specifically just saying beer. She's like, "Sure, what kind?" And I said, Budweiser was the first thing that I thought of. She's like, "Okay." So she brought me a Budweiser, and I was, I was like on top of the world at that point.
Oh, yeah.
I could have taken on anything, but I drank I got another one. I did like so I didn't have to talk to anybody. And I got another Budweiser, and then the comedy show ended and I was out of there. So I did it. I charged it to the room too. And then my parents I kind of vaguely remember this, but my parents got the bill, and my mom questioned my dad, like, "Did you get some Budweisers?" And he was like, "I must have." So, yeah.
Thanks, Dad.
That's funny.
So that was my cruise experience. How old were you when you were on the cruise ship?
23.
Okay. So, and at 23, you just knew 1 month was enough. And was it primarily because of the partying and the drinking that made you want to get off?
I felt that, yeah.
Yeah.
I felt that it was. Yeah, I also miss being here, because, people aren't Minnesota nice in Florida. I mean, it wasn't just the drinking that I wanted to get off. I missed my family and my girlfriend and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, I wanted to get the hell out of Mankato because I thought it was a terrible town and there was nothing to do here. And then that 1 month in Florida made me realize that, wow, Mankato is fantastic. Yes. It is a fantastic, I love it,
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. So, one thing getting away and then realizing it's a wonderful place. And there was wonderful bars too,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, we knew how to drink.
But ultimately it was a combination of drinking and homesick and all that kind of stuff. And
How much does a month on a cruise ship pay If you don't mind me asking.
$700 a week for playing piano for 2 hours, or 2.5 hours. Plus, then you get tips. So one night I made, I think, like $350 in tips, and some nights you make like $60 in tips, and you don't have to pay for anything. So I was sending MoneyGrams back from Walmart to my mom and birthday cards for my tip money in Florida. Because I mean, you would just be having this huge stash of cash. You know how it is with tips.
Yeah. Interesting.
So it was, I mean, I think it was good pay.
Yeah. 700. Yeah. To not have to pay for anything.
You don't have to pay for anything.
Yeah. Plus at that time, if you can get to party, I mean, that's like the ultimate perk. Would have been the ultimate perk for me.
Yeah. I would have been dead. So if I would have went to go, so in the Navy, when you get out of the Navy, they do this TAPS course. It's called TAPS, Transition Assistance Program, something, whatever it is. S. And there's a whole bunch of different options. And I'm pretty sure the cruise line was a part of, one cruise line was a part of an option that was a good transition for sailors to do. I was also an engineer, so I could have gone and worked on the engines and whatever, and thought about it for a hot minute, but I was also homesick, had shit to do back here, wanted to do shit back here, knew that I had a solid thing going on back here, but I probably would have drank myself to death on a cruise ship if it was that much of just a straight party. And by the time I got out of the service, I knew how to party already. I was a very seasoned veteran there. No pun intended, but yeah, it would have been a bad news.
That took me a second.
Yeah. I can actually honestly, like, again, being sober now, I can kind of connect some of these dots of how I used to be and, you know, the people that I always had around me to help me get out of some certain situations. I can imagine myself drinking so much that I fell overboard or something like that on a cruise ship. And,
100%. Yeah,
you know, like I can just,
because that was the rails, the side rails on some of those. I mean, those are up to your hip, maybe. Yeah. You know, you get the top half of your going there. Yeah, you're gonzo.
Again, you can. Well, someday I'm sure I'll tell some stories about me playing pinball off of upside down bar stools, and just you could see where Tito was because it was just knocking over bar stools everywhere, and somebody had to grab me and finally be like, "Get the fuck out of here! You need to leave." So
time to be done.
Yeah. Like I said, I was lucky to have some of those people.
So you get back from the cruise line, you come back to EL. Yep. And you just
don't drink for 2 weeks.
And then the tap's wide open again, and we're back at her.
Back at it until 2020. Yeah, 20. Yep. Basically, you know, and what I would have would be band meetings and things like that. Band meetings where I would have a way to drink. I really only drank at the bar. Sure. I love the bar, you know, and so I love the Legion in Eagle Lake and the Eagle's Nest. And so I would walk or bike up there, and then I would go to the bars in Mankato too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I took 2 weeks off until about 2020. And then in between there, maybe a week, maybe 5 days, but probably not.
That's a streak for sure.
And you're working full time.
I'm working full time, getting a master's degree in piano. I'm working at the two churches, and I'm doing a lot of band gigs. So pretty much, yeah, I'm occupied. You know, I'm not partying. I guess I don't think I was partying that hard, but I probably was. Actually, yeah, I was.
Yeah. It's funny how we get to that.
I don't think that I was, you know, because I just was, you know, everything. It just was part of the schedule, right? You know, like Wednesday night, time to go to the Eagle Lake Legion. I would get a text from the bartender. What time are you guys going to be here? And then the pitchers would be on the table, you know? So just those kind of things, you know, and all the bartenders that I had were wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We were.
Bartenders are some of my favorite people still to this day.
And a lot of them don't drink that much.
Yeah.
Some of them do, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were this guy. I was my favorite bartender.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I've never heard that one. That's a good one.
Mhm.
That is a good one.
So I know at this point, this is kind of where our paths cross. At what point what was Neon Live the first band that you guys, or that you started, or that were in, or?
Yeah, it was a variation off of a high school band from like 2008 at Mankato East that kind of transitioned through a bunch of different people, and then I rebranded the whole thing in 2015 to Neon Live, and then do more parties, weddings, and all that kind of stuff.
Got it. And so I remember we were doing music in the plaza, and I'd booked you guys a couple times.
Yo.
And I just remember meeting you then. But beyond that, I mean, we never...
Business, relationship, music, stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So between, band gigs and getting your master's and all that stuff, have you met Anastasia at this point?
2016 I did.
Okay.
And so then we started wedding planning and all that kind of stuff. And I was still in my master's degree.
Was she in the band?
She's not. No.
Okay.
No. She's sung with us. She'll sing with me occasionally and do things,
Yep.
But no, she's not. She hasn't really.
Sure.
So yeah. So yeah, the band, we were doing that, and then planning a wedding and all that kind of good stuff, and then in the meantime, still playing in churches and, partying and all that kind of stuff. Then we got married, and then I, still wanted to party, so I'm still thinking like partying is still fun. I want to go to the bar, but I also knew that the sun was going to have to set soon on this situation, because it was starting to, once you're done with a master's degree and you have time to kill, you fill that void with other stuff to do. So I didn't have, I liked the jobs that I was doing, but they weren't intellectually stimulating enough to keep me busy 24 hours of the day, So when you take the master's degree out of it, I lost a little bit of purpose, or probably half of my purpose. I'm not studying. And so then what do you do with that time? Well, you go drink at the bar at night, play pull tabs. And, it's a good time filler,
Yes. Yeah. I can't, what did I say? I said it a couple months ago about I wasted so much time in the bar.
It's a huge amount of time.
Like I wasted my entire 20s and 30s in a bar. And it's like, dude, I live for my children, have 3 children, and I am going to teach them. I'm not going to be naive and like, no, they're not going to drink, you're not going to do whatever. But it's like, hey, you have plenty of time to figure this out. And like each decade or each age, you set yourself up for the next step in your life. There's elementary school, the habits that you create there, they're going to follow you into middle school, and then middle school into high school, and then high school into college, or whatever else you do after high school. And then you get into these adult phases in your life, and it's the habits that so here I am drinking my first drink in 6th grade, and like, hey, let's effing go here. And
that's early.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Silco and Mountain Dew. No, I don't recommend.
That's bad.
Oh yeah. So I set myself up. I create a habit of, dude, I know it's awesome. I know this at a young age, and it follows me into high school and through my college years, my Navy years, and into my adult life. And that was the habit I formed, and I was pretty good at it. But it was a downward spiral the minute I touched it. It was definitely here you go. all right, this is the top of your hill. Now you're just going to go down that hill.
Well, and it's such a dreary place to be. I mean, you can start drinking at whatever age, and then if you spend 40 years drinking or 20 years drinking, what did you just do with 40 years? You've been an adult adolescent for 40 years.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, that's kind of what the reality is.
Oh yeah, that is absolutely the reality. Is we don't grow. I mean, I know that you say it often is your cognitive. You basically stop your cognitive progression
at the age you start drinking.
Yes. Yeah. So
I'm a 12-year-old, 40-year-old.
Yeah, which is pretty true.
Yeah.
You mentioned that in 2020, that was when you finally took a break. Was it a break, or is that?
That was the beginning of the end.
Sure.
And so I started to toy with quitting. Here's my thing that I always think of now. I started to toy with quitting in 2018. So once I started that thought, hindsight being once you start that thought, anyone out there that's drinking, if you start thinking that you should quit drinking, quit.
Yes.
Because the more you think about it, the more your mind will play tricks on you, you know? And so I started reading Quit Lit at that point. Started maybe,
Quit Lit. I've never heard that.
You haven't? Okay.
I love it.
I started reading that, like being in, kind of seeing like people that don't drink and knowing that people that haven't drank or they're sober, like observing that kind of stuff, and like being more aware. Okay, so if you're thinking about drinking that much, you're definitely having a drinking problem. So yeah, 2020, I just was drinking hard. It was pandemic and, vodka, Diet Mountain Dew, beer, couldn't wait for the bars to get reopened from the pandemic, all that kind of good stuff, because bars were where I love to drink. Then I get my garage heated. So then the bar you could have after party at my garage.
Let's go.
And, beer never lasted too long in my fridge in my garage. If you have a 24 pack, that's 2 nights of drinking or 1.5 nights of drinking, and so it's like, and I always got pounders. So there's no point. And I hate 16 or what are these 12
ounce? Yeah.
Yeah. That's stupid.
I switched actually to drinking pounders too during the pandemic. Just because why are we wasting
Why are you wasting your time on beer? That is what I'm saying.
Our fridge volume.
Pounders are just better for beer. I mean, it's more volume to stay cold too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't, and if you're a avid listener, an active listener of the Two Dudes That Don't Drink, you know that I don't like beer.
Yeah.
Beer, I mean, what are you wasting your time on beer for? Just hit it.
Well, you drink beer, it's like smoking a cigarette. You just let it kind of sit there, and then you can do rumplements or peppermint schnapps in between, and just kind of change things up.
Yeah,
and
the beer is the steady state, and then you sprinkle in a Rumplemans and a Yag Bomb.
That's how we
Cherry Bomb. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, then I fucked up there.
Yeah, because for me it was cocktails were too much, because if I drank cocktails right away, it was all the way up and all the way down, and that's when I'm shutting off the music, DJ Dead Air.
This is where I didn't have to go and get a beer. I made a cocktail, and then you just sip on it. And you sit and you gab, and you sip and you gab, and that cocktail may last you an hour until you mix the next one. And then the next one goes down in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the next one gets stronger, and the next one gets stronger, and the next one gets stronger. And there you go.
I don't know if this is true or not, and I guess I'm not going to find out, but I always thought you could get different buzzes from different alcohols too. So like if I did Fireball, I would be much more belligerent. But if I did Rumplements, I would Rumplements or Dr. McGillicuddy's, I'd feel that I was more behaved.
Oh God, you were in the minority of that one, my friend.
But that was not the reality.
Yeah.
I wasn't. If I did Dr. McGillicuddy's peppermint schnapps, I would be much better than drinking Rumplements.
Yeah, well, because one of them is
100 proof.
Yeah, one of them's 100 proof, and the other one is
35.
30 proof Dr. McGillicuddy's. So
maybe there's something to that, but I always felt that I couldn't drink whiskey because then I would get even more angry than I would get drinking. And then Yag was one of those like mysterious, like fucking Dr. Voodoo type shit, where it's like I'm drinking blood, elk's blood, human, like an Indiana Jones type, like pour the blood down and you're hypnotized. Like if I drink Yag,
it was a bad situation.
Oh yeah, there's international incidences going on if I'm drinking Yag. So like I tried to stay away from that. So it was Captain for me. And that was something you could just sip on. And then the assholes that you know down at the bars that know you very well, at the end of the night, they would just give you a Coke and tell you they put Captain in it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
It was, absolutely.
Yeah. There was, I feel like a lot of it, I mean, obviously we're not doctors by any stretch of the imagination, but, I personally think that it's kind of just one of those things where you tell yourself you're going to be angry if you drink whiskey, and so then you're angry if you drink whiskey.
It's the placebo effect.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's same thing with
tequila,
Yag, elk
JMO.
blood.
Personally, I hate
well
hard liquor. I thought was stupid too. I think a lot of things are stupid. Is what it sounds like I'm saying tonight. But
it's just,
no, I
is.
thought that I didn't like the taste of hard liquor. I didn't like the taste of liquor or beer or anything until what it did to me was fun. You know.
Yeah.
So I really only just stuck to beer and peppermint drinks.
Sure.
It's predictable.
That makes sense. So 2020, you start reading the Quit Lit, and you start getting into taking maybe some steps into actually putting a stop to the train on the tracks. What's kind of your like aha or come to Jesus moment that you have?
Well, it was literally a come to Jesus moment because I went to confession often at the Newman Center where I worked. And I would talk to the priest, and, finally he just said, you should just go to an AA meeting. He didn't say, you have to go to an AA. It was just like, why don't you try this? And so, I kept trying to figure things out, like talking to my counselor, talking to this, and what is this? Okay, so I go to an AA meeting and I, didn't really like it because no one was there because it was pandemic. So there was one guy there and I didn't relate at all. He was, much older than me. And yeah, when you're 20, whatever, 29, 30, going to an AA meeting, it's just not something that's fun.
Yeah.
Whereas, so then finally, I tried to check myself into treatment, to outpatient treatment, so I, couple failed attempts at that. And then I would say, I don't really need it. Then I finally, in 2021, the spring of 21, I checked myself into outpatient treatment and I did virtual treatment. So that, and the long story short with that is they tell you to go to AA. Like, I don't want to pay money to go to treatment and then just have you tell me to go to AA. That is not what I want to hear.
Right.
Like zero.
Yeah.
Like none of it. Because I didn't want to go to AA at all.
Right. You didn't want to be there to begin with. So no. I'm not going to pay you to tell me to go there.
But then the hindsight of that is AA is free.
Yeah.
And the people there are actually very smart.
Yes.
And I don't have to pay a, what is it called? A copay to talk to these people who are very smart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very experienced.
Very experienced, very smart. Yes. And what did I hear? If you go to 90 meetings in 90 days, you've heard every single thing you've heard and seen every single thing you'll ever need to hear and see in your life.
Sure.
In 90 meetings in 90 days.
Did you do 90 and 90?
I did 90. I basically did 90 and 90.
Yeah.
I was on a high with AA. I loved it. The first meetings that I would go to, like once I finally surrendered, but I was still in treatment and I was still drinking and wanting to gamble and go to the bar. I don't have a gambling problem, but the two of those things went together very well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about Gamblers Anonymous or anything like that, but they're a very great combination for fun. And so, but through that time I was drinking and I would, then I was taking more prolonged periods of time off because you can't drink in treatment. You're not supposed to drink in treatment. but I did anyways.
I was
And
gonna say, when
I think most
treatments-
everyone does if they're
Yeah.
an outpatient treatment.
Yes,
You
I
know,
was going to say when
just-
treatment is outpatient, it's a lot easier to get away with that.
And I think that, they expect that, and then they hope that you have a come to Jesus moment, right?
Yeah.
And so then after that, it was easy. I plugged into AA. I got a sponsor pretty much right away. I did what they said, and I don't regret it at all.
So you checked yourself into treatment in the spring. How long has it been since you've been sober now?
Over 3 years now. So
Awesome.
I checked myself into treatment, wanted to quit the first day. I was like, well, this is not for me. I don't relate. I have mental health problems.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy said, why the F did you call Hazleton if you have mental health problems? You need to be back in this group.
Yeah.
So he was very, I'm happy that he pushed me to stay in the group, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then to go to AA. But I'm also thankful that I also knew people that were in AA, and stuff like that. And now I lost my train of thought. Knowing people that have been in AA and the community of recovery and musicians that are open about it and public about it too.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Helped a lot.
What's your opinion on the connection or the correlation, I guess, or whatever the word is, with mental health and addiction and like recovery?
Well, I think that everyone has something that they're dealing with, whether it's an anxiety or a depression. I mean, I just finished a wonderful book, not the autobiography, but the Dale Carnegie's biography on Abraham Lincoln, and he lived a very sad life. He was the guy who freed the slaves and did so many things with the United States history, and he's on our money and everything like that. But they said that he lived with melancholia, which is just this melancholy, which would be depression, basically. Don't take this as, I'm not a history expert on Abraham Lincoln, but this is just what I'm remembering from the book, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying that to anyone listening. Don't shoot me. I'm only the piano player. But anyways, so the long story short, and the long answer for that question, the short answer for that question is a long answer, but the short answer to that I would say that yes, there's always going to be some form of, wound or mental illness, or I would almost say it's a wound, a core wound. Like why do I have this, or what is this? I feel this. Okay, well that's just part of life. Okay, so I may have anxiety or OCD, but also that anxiety and OCD and depression can also manifest itself into positive aspects of like, okay, I can be a piano player, I can be a woodworker, I can be an artist, and using components of OCD and having that kind of a thinking pattern can be used in the right way.
Catapult you into success along those realms, yeah.
But you can use it for your demise too, and to drink, and like I need to turn my brain off.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna drink.
100%. I know that one of the things that you had said just briefly a second ago was musicians that you obviously followed or
rub elbows with.
Yeah, use their story. Is the name Reginald Kenneth Dwight?
Yeah.
Okay, Elton John. So I wanted to make sure that I said that at one point. Elton John has been sober for 30 something years, right? I think he just celebrated his
34.
Was it 34?
I think he got sober in 1990.
Okay. Talk a little bit about, if you can, if there was any, maybe influence, or, I know that I don't, maybe mentor is probably not mentor, but somebody that you look up to, obviously Elton John. What did his sobriety mean, towards you getting sober?
Well, it meant that you can be on top of the world and still have to live in reality, right? And I'm reading a book right now about him, and he said the stupidest thing. The most terrible thing that he ever did was take the line of coke and then went back and did it again, and he had a drinking and alcohol and sex addiction and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was a
full blown.
Yeah, it was, he shouldn't be alive. And he says that in all of his books and stuff. But, it doesn't, it comes back to that terminal uniqueness, that term that people always use in AA. It's like, well, I'm unique, so therefore I should drink. Well, we're really actually not. We're all kind of similar. We all have we all have problems in life. And, Elton John may just have bigger problems because he has more money. So more money, more problems,
Yeah.
But if he can get sober and he's touring around the world, right, and one of the biggest pop stars in the world, if he can be sober and play in front of a crowd, it's not even about playing in front of a crowd. I mean, who really cares? It's really what's in your head, and so like comparing myself to other sober people, like, okay, if that person can do it, then maybe I could, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that. But then again, well, Elton John's a famous musician, so he has anything at his disposal. He could pay for doctors, he could pay for therapists. So, I guess I think that Elton's sobriety is helpful to me in a lot of ways. But it's also hard to compare too,
Sure.
I think.
One of the things that I had seen you post in the past was, Tony and we've all kind of hit on it, that you have an Elton John tribute show. I think that you had put, as one of your statuses recently, that you said you wouldn't do Elton John until you were in recovery.
Yeah, there's no way that I could have done that. And, actually after learning more about him and reading more about his books and stuff too, a lot of his success was basically in a room this big, in a house in England, in a suburb of London. Sure. So, I mean, he wasn't doing it. He was looked like a schoolboy. He had glasses, thick glasses, it wasn't anything to ever be looking like a superstar. And so, yeah, I couldn't do that show knowing that his life now is being a sober musician, yeah, could I do it as a drunk and pretend I'm 1980s Elton John, 1979 Elton John, and sure, that would be fun. And it would be like playing down at Johnny B's when it was downtown, like, let's get really drunk, John. And my friend Johnny in the band, he's running across the guitar. He's with his electric guitar running on the bar. It was awesome. But it's like, okay, that's fun for a little bit, but it's like, okay, we got to move on.
Yeah. It's not sustainable.
You can't, and I didn't want to do an Elton John tribute show. I knew that I was struggling enough with a drinking problem that while doing an Elton John tribute show, I would have to probably drink to have fun with it. I wouldn't be able to just really enter into the music.
Do you think that felt maybe just a little hypocritical? Is that?
I think it would.
Yeah.
Here I'm living a drunk life, in quote unquote entertainment, right? You can't really do that to do it's like, I would never be able to do my classical recitals drunk ever, period.
Right.
There'd be no way.
Yeah.
And that never happened. I never drank in practice. I never drank in the morning. None of that kind of stuff. You just, it's trying to have too much fun, and you can't, there has to be that time to realize that, okay, some days we have to be sad.
Yeah.
Some days we have to be happy. Some days we have to be a little worried. Some days we have to be carefree. It's not, I was talking to my friend, he's a priest actually, but he said that the human being thinks that we're supposed to be happy all the time. So drinking adds right into that culture. Okay, we're supposed to be happy all the time, so if we're going to be happy all the time, we need to drink. But that's not reality again.
Yeah.
But life, if you can, and I think through AA, you can have these high highs and you can still have lows, but then, in recovery, you can then find that baseline where life is actually just, okay, so you take that 5, you take the -5, well, then it comes back to 0.
Yeah.
You're at a baseline.
Yep. We've talked a few times in the past about finding that middle ground. And that's, I think, probably one of the strongest things that you can do in recovery is just, try to be even keel, never get, too high on the highs. And like you said, never too low on the lows. It's a very good mantra.
So I stay incredibly busy to battle. A part of my program is to staying busy. You're doing all of your shows and all of your stuff while you're drinking. Now that you're not drinking, you're still doing all the shows and all of your stuff. Are you just putting more effort into all of that? Or what are you filling your drinking time with?
Well, I'm still doing the shows and stuff, but I've started these 2 businesses with Mankato Woodworks and G Clean, so that those didn't exist. Those didn't exist.
Okay.
I was effing around in my garage with power tools, when I was drinking in the drinking era, not when I was drinking, because that's a bad idea for a piano player to be playing with saw. Right.
Let's talk a little bit about Mankato Woodworks. What is it that you do? How did it start, and then what does it come into now?
It started as a garage hobby, but I used that as a catapult to kind of, do some creativity and
sure. You making cutting boards or
tables, dining tables,
yep,
primarily, which we could build you a table here.
Yeah, I was like right before, we were talking. I know that you make tables. I just was asking the question, obviously. But as we were sitting down and you mentioned Mankato Woodworks before, I was like, oh God, he probably thinks this table is garbage. I do know that you make quality craftsman custom furniture. So
that's primarily what it is.
Okay. Talk a little bit how you got just involved in that. Was that just something you were bored and I said, I got a skill saw here and let's cut some wood, and
I can fucking miter a corner like anybody else. Right?
No, I basically just wanted to build some end tables for my house. And so I built some, I took shop class and I'm like, well, I don't want to buy Walmart furniture. So I'll build some stuff out of stuff at Menards. I always was going to Menards for fun because it's a fun place to go. Even more fun sober.
I actually did notice, I would have backtracked for just 1 second, that you had put a picture of like a 1970s Menards on your Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
It's like, I would just love to go back to a 1970s Menards. I'm just thinking to myself, like, that's maybe not something that I would find a ton of pleasure in, but that's
I love Menards. But yeah, so it was a garage business, and then getting sober, it helped that as well, working on that and having more orders and things like that. And then the cleaning business came out of nowhere, even though I had been a custodian for the district in the summer times at the school in Eagle Lake.
Oh, okay.
So I learned enough to be dangerous.
Sure.
You can clean it. If you can clean in a elementary school, you can clean anything.
I have to imagine that's true.
I mean, it's like cleaning up at a bar, because bar people are like elementary students anyways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I know that you guys probably have Kyvacs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. That was still always a problem. Yeah. Anyways, we digress a little bit. I did actually put Kyvac machine because I wanted to talk about that.
Oh my,
that's great, Tyson. Yeah, I
have
research.
You did. Yeah.
I do have a Kyvac machine and I like it.
Yeah. Kyvacs are Cadillac.
Okay.
Anyways, Mankato Woodworks, G Clean Mankato. We're cleaning the schools. Both of those things kind of small time, now full-fledged businesses with employees.
Yes. I have 2 employees at my wood shop, and then I have 12 cleaners.
Can I have you do me one favor? Look at that camera and say, and this beautiful logo was designed by Kate at Blue Sun Designs.
Where is the logo at?
I'm going to put it in your hand.
Oh, okay. This beautiful logo was designed by Kate at Blue Sun Designs. You'll be able to edit all that.
I gotta give Kate a shout out.
Yeah, and that logo actually is very interesting. Well, that'll be too long of a conversation, but I love the logo.
Yeah,
our logo.
No, the logo that
the Mankato
Woodworks.
Oh,
you made a new logo.
New logo.
Couple employees at Mankato Woodworks. How many cleaners or how many employees
12.
do you have?
He's got 12.
12. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I know that has been one of the catalysts to us getting together was you working
clean at night.
Yeah, working in the business as well as working on the business. How has, not drinking helped you be successful in, I think that was one of the things that Tony kind of reached into a little bit here earlier, but is that where your drinking time has gone?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be cleaning a building on Friday night ever when I was drinking. Like I was cleaning one of our contracts with a couple other cleaners last Friday night. And she was like, yeah, I never would have thought I would be cleaning a building on a Friday night. And I said, well, I wouldn't have been surprised if I was cleaning a building on a Friday night, but I wouldn't be cleaning it at 10 o'clock. I would be done by 7 and at the bar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, ultimately quitting drinking, interesting. Well, not interestingly enough, because this is what everyone that quits drinking, a lot of people that quit drinking say, I have so much more time. I can get up in the morning and go on a walk, or I can, I go to bed around like 10 o'clock, and there's just so much more enjoyable things,
Yeah. Speaking of that, the time.
The last thing I was gonna talk about was Cece. She is how old?
She's gonna be 3 in December.
So Cece has never seen you.
She's never seen me drunk,
and that's gonna be an awesome thing to be able to say in the future.
I have, I got a 2-year-old, Kiara, Kiki.
Is that what you call her?
Yeah,
I call Cece Kiki every once in a while too, because of
no
fights.
Yeah,
no,
it's a good.
Fights,
I like names that can have nicknames.
Yes,
so, Cece Kiki.
It's kind of what we did it with.
That's great.
But yeah, she's never seen me drink. My 2 oldest did, and that was the last time. I mean, they have, and that was the last time, and
thankfully they won't have to anymore
again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep saying the last thing. There's 2 more things. As a person of faith, talk to us, reaching out to as many people. I mean, it's not a ton of people, but for some of those people out there that are, maybe a little bit more faith-based, how much did your faith help you, in getting through some of the hard parts of sobriety?
I would say it would have helped me a huge part.
Yeah.
Just the sense alone that through the confessional, I went to AA. I mean, that's what? I mean, that, and then now I'm sober. Okay. So, I mean, if you look at all those things, it just makes sense, and so I'm eternally grateful to God for that. I'm grateful that the church was there that I was able to truly take advantage and use those tools of the church, right?
Yeah.
And have the priest do his thing as a priest, and send you to the right avenues, and so I think that that's a huge thing. And, learning that AA with a higher power, that's another huge thing. And my sponsor's very faith-based too. But I also think that you have to use faith and reason. You can't just be like, well, I can't just sit and wait for the statue in the corner to cry. I mean, I have to use reality too. I mean, now I'm not knocking anyone that thinks that, but like I have to also think, okay, there's scientific stuff behind this too. Like, okay, I have this genetically in my family, family tree or what have you, just as someone might have diabetes or cancer or what have you, So I think that the faith-based thing is a huge thing, and just using as much as we can have, whether it's going to a psychologist, all that kind of stuff. I think using all of that stuff together really is important. And so, yeah, but long story short, to answer the question, the faith component was a huge thing.
Yeah. And then the last thing, which was the first thing that we talked about, this is for real the last thing. This is the last thing on my list. This is what
the last thing.
This is what 20 plus years of friendship gets you.
That's perfect.
You're the mayor of Eagle Lake. How the hell did that come about?
Dude, we talked about this.
But how? We didn't talk how. Like, what happened?
Well, the current mayor, now a mayor emeritus, Lisa, she moved out of town. Her last meeting was on Monday night, and she moved to South Dakota.
So then do you just get nominated for that? Or?
No. So then on the city council, there's the mayor and then 4 city councilors. And so then there's one of the councilors, the mayor pro tem, which would be the temporary mayor in case the mayor was gone for a meeting. So basically now it's 4 city councilors, and I'm just acting as the temporary mayor until another city councilor is running for mayor. So he'll be assuming that he doesn't get that Tony doesn't get written in for 1,000 votes.
I don't need any more. I don't need.
Yeah, you need something else to do.
Yeah.
Then the new mayor will take over in January.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's.
I am actually really excited to ask my question, though.
Yeah. So at the again, let's circle back to thank you for making time for us this evening.
Absolutely.
I think that this has been like I said, we've known each other, and your date is July 3rd.
It's
2nd?
July,
3rd? Like it's early, right?
7, yeah. July.
I'm a June 24th. So I remember when I would run into you at my old job out at the truck stop. It would be like, hey, I saw your post, and you'd say, hey, I saw your post, and congratulations. Yeah. And,
and we, and I'm like, that's freaking awesome.
Right. And, there's a group of us, you, me, and a former member that was, or a former guest that was on our podcast, Scott, are all like right in that same little time frame. And so I always think of us as like our little band of 3 samesies, sober people.
Mm.
So
That's
it is. I mean, but anytime I think of my sober date, I do actually think, I was like, oh shit, Garrett's got to be right behind me. So
because it is literally like 2 weeks apart.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Again, thank you for spending some time with us this evening. Tony's got
one question.
One last wrap it up B question.
Wrap it up B. That's that segment. That's what we're going to call this, right?
Yeah, we got to figure out.
Maybe
you can help us. We need to get some music that we play.
He doesn't know how to play music.
Maybe somebody that knows how to play music.
True.
Where like when they do speeches at award shows and it goes too long, they start playing some
like
closing
classical,
credits.
Yeah. So we need some filler music that we can actually put on one of these buttons, and then we'll just make it so that it starts slowly playing in
through the mixer.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It'll slowly play in, and then we'll know that Tony's about to ask because, Tony will probably hit it because I'll just keep asking questions here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our wrap it up
segment. What was your party song? What was the song that just got you going, or was always playing when you're drinking?
Probably something by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
All right.
Nice. I don't think we've had an Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, probably not.
But I mean,
or I'd listen to Ozzy Osbourne, Crazy Train.
Those are
two very different.
Yes.
Yeah, Crazy Train was always fun. We played that in the band, so I mean that was like, we're gonna have a fun night tonight.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I often ended up listening to a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Are you talking like
September?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, that's I mean, I would say that's maybe not like
I was a happy drunk, so I mean, all that feel good music was just that's all I wanted to do was listen to feel good music.
Right.
So
yeah, that's not going to be probably on my weightlifting playlist, but I'll definitely rock out to some Earth, Wind, and Fire. I like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
The last thing that I know, another last thing finally, but
we're gonna have to edit all the last things here.
Good thing we know the guy that does the editing.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's true.
Yeah.
My wrap it up question is, I want you just to kind of think of, your experience here and the stories that you've been able to share with us. And if you can, title your own episode and, tell us what kind of the elevator pitch is for Garrett's story.
Sure. Well, I don't want to steal from my sponsor, but I have to use it a lot because it really helps a lot. And Gary always says, "What would it hurt to think that everything will turn out to be just fine?" Gary S. Tommy's.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
So yeah. I mean, that's kind of a motto that I live by because
say it one more time.
What would it hurt to think that everything will turn out to be just fine?
Sure.
But I guess that's one of the mottos that I often think about it because I'm always in my head about stuff. But I guess a motto that I would say is there's always better days ahead. When you're not drinking, there's always going to be better days ahead. And the best days are ahead of us. I mean, that's one thing that someone told me right when I really got sober. He said, your best days are ahead of you. And, that's a powerful thing to think, and a lot of people spend time thinking in the past. People that are depressed spend times. I saw this the other day. Depression is spending time in your head in the past. Mm-hmm. Anxiety is spending time in the future, but we live in the present moment. And so having hope for better days, you can't really have hope for better days when you're drinking because you're sort of ruining your next day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that those kind of two mottos there really help me, to be at peace, more or less.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I do remember the thing that Tony was going to ask you is you started your own meeting too, didn't you?
We started, Miranda, a friend, she's we're all public about it, but yeah, so we started a Eagle Lake AA meeting, and we have there's two meetings. There's a Thursday night meeting, which is a kind of a regular group meeting, and then Saturday morning big book. And I think we're thinking about adding another one.
Nice.
At some point. So yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, I think we have, Miranda and I were counting. I think that there was, from that meeting, 5 new people that have gotten sober.
Really?
I think, yeah.
Somewhere
in that ballpark.
No way.
Yeah. I can think of 3 for sure. And I think there's 2 more. Yeah.
Like when you start thinking about that, like that to me is again why we do this, is because I think of if somebody out there decided to make the change, one person, like then this has all been worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And so to think that 3 people have started their, sober journey, like that's so awesome to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's real impact.
Right.
And
it changes lives,
Yeah,
I mean,
it does.
It's like you can have such a better life, not drinking.
Right.
And it's like that constant dull life of drinking, and just living for that, few hours of feeling good, or however many hours, but then just ruining days and days and days and days and hours, and just it really is a waste.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Garrett, thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Mankato Woodworking, G Clean, plug your stuff. One last time.
Mankato Woodworks, G Clean, and Neon Live Entertainment.
Perfect. That's where we can find Garrett.
Yes.
Thank you again for for joining us.
Thank you.
In the Nielsen
Blacktop Studios. Big thanks to Rooms and Rest as well for all the support they've given us as well.
Yes, sponsorship and all of that stuff. We literally would not be here. We'd be probably sitting on some folding chairs. Not that we can't do it, but this looks
way better.
Way better. Thanks one more time.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you for listening.
Check you later.
Peace out.